Achieving a credible election is a multi-stakeholder responsibility. Responsibility first of the 5 key stakeholders is the election management body that is saddled with responsibility for democratic competition. So you need an umpire it should be independent, should not be intimidated, to stand tall in implementing the electoral regulations, the provision of the Electoral Acts, fully, fairly, and impartially. Second, you need a judiciary. Because third, you need the candidates, the media, political parties, CSOs. But fundamentally, against the background of the June 12th anniversary, we also use opportunity to remember M.K. Abiola for the sacrifices he made. And in doing so, as we move toward the 2027 election, we have the firm view that we should send messages to some key stakeholders. And one of the key stakeholders that I'm sending my message to is my own constituency. I am a lawyer. My message to the bar and the bench that regrettably my constituency historically had never been on the side of holding the sanctity of the vote of the common man of our country. From 1979 with the controversial 2/3 of 19 to 1983 when we had landslide validated by the courts, and of course what happened in June 12th. I've said over and again that if this country will go under, the democracy will die. Democracy will die on account of the rule of my constituency judiciary, the bar and the bench. Because we recall that services of lawyers were procured by Ato Ezeribe and Abimbola Davis under their unregistered Association for Better Nigeria. They approached the courts despite decree number 12, decree number 13 of the time that provided that no court shall stop the holding of elections. Yet lawyers approached the courts, and a judge, a member of the bench, Justice Basi Ikpeme, sat by 10 p.m. to give an order stopping the holding of election on June 12th. That was the beginning of the crisis. The Electoral Commission ordered Professor Nwosu, and even when the military government itself shamelessly pretended to say, go ahead, election went on. More so when Justice Moshood, God bless, of Lagos High State Court, said on the basis of that decree, election must go on. Chief MKO was close to victory. About 14 state results had been announced. But what happened again? Judiciary, the Chief Judge of Abuja, gave an order stopping the announcement of the results. And that's what led to the problems. And eventually, on the 23rd, even when that was appealed against by the Electoral Commission of the time, under Nwosu, the day the judgment was delivered at the Court of Appeal in Kaduna, what happened? The courts, an unsigned statement on the 23rd of June about the June 12th election. If you look at the trajectory, you find out that both the bar and the bench, they didn't do well. Today we are going for election. You could see the crisis involving a political party. That's why section of the Electoral Act that prohibited the courts from interfering into basic matters of internal affairs of political parties and all that. Despite the law saying so, you could see lawyers using that provision, trying to look at other provision of the constitution under fundamental right to take matters to court. And so I must say this here, my message to my constituency is that they must act as a guardian angel of some sort, the survival of our democracy, because the first early sign of the subversion of democracy is the failure of the courts, of the judiciary, to hold political actors accountable. Today, there is no consequences for wrongdoing in our country. Our value pyramid is upside down. Dishonesty is now on top. Doing the right thing has become an anathema. You are likely to lose your life in Nigeria of today for wanting to do the right thing. This is where we are. You will now see what you have, the Electoral Acts, where lawmakers are now making law for themselves to protect themselves. That results to that we have developed, that we have used the BIMA, the INEC, that we have used to conduct 105 elections, including 5 governorship elections before we left office in 2022, that we still have in place. They have now placed a proviso that what do you call it, the transmission no longer compulsory. So fundamentally, yes, that's
where I was just taking you to, because you have actually been a part of that same constituency, Independent Electoral Commission. I want to just ask you, just to wrap up, maybe in just few words, how much do you believe in the leadership of INEC today to prosecute a free, fair, credible and transparent elections in Nigeria?
Yes, I just told you that it's a collective responsibility. I can't speak about them because I am no longer in the system. But what I know is that 2027, every election is a test. But the 2027 election will be more than a test, to be a verdict on our collective commitment to do the right thing. And that is to let you know finally that my advice to security agencies, my advice to the commission, my advice to political parties, candidates and CS is that after this election we must know, just as we are looking at the history today, that the High Court of History will sit in judgments over the role that each and everyone will play. INEC will be judged, judiciary will be judged, political party and their candidates will be judged in respect of how the election will go. But more important will be the candidates, politicians who are going to contest for this election, so that they will do the right thing, so that by 2027 we give our country an election after which what will be left will be governance and not a controversy as to how candidates or winners emerged.
Thank you very much.